Well, welcome in everybody to the new space on Heartbeat. I'm really excited to see everyone again after such a long absence. And the first thing I want to do is call in the directions and open the Wiracocha, and then we'll get into it. Winds of the South, Sachamama, sweet mother of the waters, wrap your luminous coils around us and show us the beauty way, walking close to the earth like you do. Show us the way of shedding our past like you shed your skin. Hampwe, Sachamama, come into our medicine space. Oh. Winds of the West, Otorongo, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, you who walk through the darkest shadows of the jungle without fear. Show us the courage way, show us the way of facing the shadows. Show us how to make death our ally, and show us the way of having no enemies, especially ourselves. Hampwe, Otorongo, come into our medicine space. Aho. Winds of the North, ancestors, royal hummingbird, Siwar Kente, show us the way of having stillness even in flight. Show us the way of taking the impossible journey, not someday, but today. Ancestors, come and warm your hands by our fire and whisper your stories of wisdom in our ears. Hampwe, Siwar Kente, Hampwe, ancestors, come into our medicine space. Oh. Winds of the East, eagle, condor, you who fly from the land of the rising sun beyond the furthest mountains. You who fly wingtip to wingtip with the Creator, enfold us in your wings. Show us the way of seeing only the truth, that everything is energy. Show us how to see everything from high above with perfect clarity, and yet see what's right in front of us. Hampwe, Hapuchin, Hampwe, Kuntur, come into our medicine space. Aho. Pachamama, sweet mother, always there to heal us, to help us, to guide us. Bring together all of our relations for healing, the plant people, the stone people, the finned, the furred, the hooved, the winged, the creepy crawlers, the seen and the unseen, all of our relations, Pachamama. Bring them into our medicine space. Aho. Inti Taita, Father Sky, Mama Kia, Grandmother Moon, and all the star nations, Chaska, Hermanos de Chaska, y Hermanas de Chaska, Star Brothers, Star Sisters. Illuminate our path and share your divine wisdom with us. Show us how to be of service and how to receive service. Show us the right way to walk the path for us. Hampwe, Inti Taita, Hampwe, Mama Kia. Aho. Take some deep breaths. Welcome everyone. Whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, welcome to the sacred space. I'm going to be drinking my cacao while we talk. And if you have something to share in the sacred space, we'll use the tradition of the medicine stick and just use the raise hand on the Zoom, and I'll know you want to talk, and I'll unmute you. And if not, that's okay, no pressure. So the first thing I should address, I think, is the elephant in the room of where have I been for 8 months? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I realize that my healing journey is not only my own, but it's a healing and teaching journey for others. So that's kind of the path we're going to follow. I kind of see it as 4 parts. I call it the descent, which is going into the shadow. The expansion, which is really looking at all the catalysts that happened for the transformation. The weave, which is the philosophy and how I came to understand a different way of being of service. And then we'll do some integration and discussion. So that's kind of the wave that we're going to follow. So I want to start with, what happened, or where I'm at now, and what happened back then. The breakdown before the breakthrough, really. Where I'm at right now is I gained 20 pounds over the last 8 months after having lost 120 pounds. I lost my job a month ago, and I've been doing an incredible amount of work on relationships with myself and with others. And that's really what kept me away from the community. And I'm back, and I'm going to be back and more active now. But going back to that time period, about July was the time period when Spirit started presenting me with a lot of guidance and information about the relationships in my life and how they were not in harmony, they were not in harmony. And my relationship with myself wasn't. And it made me realize that, you've heard me say this before, but transformation and shadow work really goes in a spiral. And every time we go around the spiral, we can have the perception that we're doing, oh, here I go again. This thing, I thought I did work on that already. Well, yeah, you did. And that work transformed you. But you're back again because there's more information to get from that thing. So the whole perception that we get frustrated with ourselves, like here I am again, is just that. It's perception. A better way to look at it, a more constructive way to look at it, is I have more work to do, but I'm different, and I'm open to new insights. So show me. Those are the 2 most magic words that I've learned. Show me. It's when we think we have the answer that we run into trouble. We're not open to new information. And that's why the Pacos in the Andes talk about having a beginner's mind. Embody your wisdom, be confident in what you know, but at the same time, have a beginner's mind. So a lot of different things happened in terms of the relationship work that I probably won't share here, but because it wouldn't be appropriate anyway. But suffice it to say, from my perspective, it was incredibly difficult, but incredibly illuminating. And I learned a lot of things, and I also learned I learned what I didn't know about myself. And the theme of this whole session today is community and sacred exchange. And we're going to get more into the sacred exchange piece. But what I learned more than ever, I kind of thought I already knew, but it went to new depths over the last 8 months, was we heal in community. The first thing we want to do when we're injured or we're hurting emotionally or physically is we isolate ourselves. And that's exactly the opposite of what we should do. We need to be in community, even if it's a community of 2 or 3. There's an intimacy there, and there's also the opportunity for mirroring, which is the most powerful technique I've ever participated in, learned, because you can't see yourself in your own mirror. that your soul presents. But if you have a trusted partner in the work, they can mirror you. And you can see things in yourself. The Pacos talk about the foggy mirror, the mist-colored mirror, right? That's what you see without anybody to help you. It's distorted. It's not clear, right? But when somebody is standing in front of you that you trust, you can see a lot more clearly. They're all, obviously they're going to give you their side of things and their opinion, but in that there is always kernels of truth that you can operate on. So that leads us to some of the other things I mentioned, like the job loss. I want to talk about that for a minute because there's a lot. I've talked to so many people that are going through the same thing right now. There's a bunch of layoffs going on in the tech industry and beyond. And this is a job that I took 5 years ago at a time when I didn't even know if I could work. I was on disability and I had no money, no house. I was sitting on my mom's couch and I had a laptop, and my friend Dwight called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I've got this company I've been working for 6 months, and they need a principal solution architect," whatever that is, right? And I think you'd be perfect for it. And I told him right off the bat, I said, "Well, I'm in so much pain right now that I don't know if I can hold down a 9-to-5 job." He said, "Well, just talk to my boss. You never know what'll happen." So I did. And they hired me a week later with all my limitations that I was putting out. I was very transparent with them. I said, "I can't travel. I'm in so much pain that I might have to leave meetings early." All the stuff, right? All the stories that I had built in my head around my limitations. And they hired me anyway. So it was a place of transformation and healing for me, that a container was formed so that I could not only, make money, receive abundance, so that I could start to shift and change my current situation, but just walking into a container of people that accepted me and wanted me to succeed. I didn't know I was going to get emotional about that, but there you go. And so I started to relearn my limitations, and learned that a lot of the things that I had constructed in my head were illusions, just stories. And I just did it. I just did the job, and it worked out pretty well for a number of years. In fact, that first year, I made more money in 1 year than I had ever made in my life. And the lesson there, the reason I even bring that up, is because here I was sitting on the couch in excruciating pain with a laptop, not knowing if I could do it. And I was able to earn that much money and feel like I was helping people, right? And at the time, I was still kind of locked in ego about who I was and what value I had to the world. And I hadn't really stepped onto the shamanic path yet, none of that, right? But it was the beginning. And so when it came to an end a month ago, I was able to hold up the mirror, and my friends that I was leaving at the company helped me hold up the mirror. It was a very community thing for me. And I saw how much transformation had happened, because I no longer had that egoic drive or connection to that job anymore. It was almost like I literally felt like Spirit was telling me, "You've been thinking about this for a while, holding this energy of what's next. It's time." And just kind of gently pushing me out the door. So It happened at the right time in the right way, in a way that I was very supported, and came with a severance package that gives me a little time to think about what's next. And at the same time, I mean, this didn't happen in isolation, right? At the same time, so many other things were happening. And I'm telling you my story. I'm hoping that it resonates and gives you a mirror for your story. That's why I just wanted to be vulnerable and tell my story today. Not because I want you to know all about me. That's part of it, but a bigger part of it for me is to present it as a learning opportunity and a mirror for you. So at the same time, all this was going to happen because it happened unexpectedly, right? I got a meeting invitation from HR Monday morning, and I thought, oh, this can't be good. And they went over the reduction in force and how many people were, they didn't say how many people, but a number of people were being affected. Now I know it's a couple of hundred. Wasn't expecting it. So initially it was shocking, but I have to say the whole process has been kind of beautiful. As weird as it is to say that, because of the support that I've gotten from the deep relationships that I made there. And it was because of the shift and the healing that I went through the whole time I was there, where I started to disconnect from the notion that that job was my identity, which I had always had my whole life. And it was just an opportunity for me to be of service to my team, to the larger teams, and to the company. And so the last 2 years, like every meeting I was in, it was me asking myself, what do I do to be of the most service, to drive the highest and best outcome for this, right? And so when it finally ended, I was just flooded with support from these people that I had connected to more deeply, and that really showed me what's possible and what you can unlock in your own life when you just come as you are, as your authentic self, and kind of let the chips fall where they may. This is me. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I'm here to help, here to serve. But I'm also a sovereign being, and I'm not going to give away my power unless it's an intentional act of a sacred exchange. And I mentioned that word again, that term, sacred exchange. I'm going to get more into that in a minute. But so during that period of time, that 8 months, the job loss just happened a month ago, but leading up to it, there are so many things that happened that some were somewhat planned, others were completely unplanned. For example, I went to the temples of humankind in that spiritual community, Damanhur in Italy. And wow, mind blowing. I mean, I watched the Gaia documentary on Damanhur. I kind of knew what they did on the surface level and about their founder and all that. But when I got there, what I wasn't expecting is the ease and the comfort and kind of the natural way that everybody in that community acted, not only around each other, but around us, outsiders. And they had such confidence and such peace and calm about their chosen lifestyle, which is totally based on contributionism. It's that model. There are many versions of that type of community around the world, but I got to be inside of that one, and it changed me. It showed me that this money magic system that dates back to the Sumerian times, that has been used to subvert our culture, subvert our sovereignty as individuals and as groups, isn't the only way to live. That you can actually live in harmony in a community where everybody that contributes, it's almost like your net worth as an individual on some level is based in that community on how much you give to the community. So it's completely inverted from the Western model, where, make more money, have more things, have more power, have more influence. You would basically be ejected from that culture if you did that, because you wouldn't fit. They wouldn't know what to do with you. There wouldn't be any judgment. It would just be like, okay, you can leave now. But I brought that back in my heart, and it incubated for a few months into this sacred exchange approach that came to me from spirit that I'll talk about in a minute. But there was a lot of other stuff, amazing stuff that happened to Dammon here. But for the purposes of today, that's kind of what I wanted to bring in, was a real working model of contributionism. And it's been going for 60 years, and even the founder even died 10 years ago, and it hasn't slowed the community down at all. They have that, like I said, that confidence that we know what we're doing. This is intentional. We want to do this. And the other thing, before I leave that topic, Dammon here, that really stood out to me is how welcoming they were of our outsiders. Because I've done a lot of reading and studying about intentional communities around the world and the different models that they use, because I'm fascinated by it. And a lot of them kind of feel cultish or cliquish, right? It's like, I don't know how they deal well with the outside world. Dammon here wasn't like that at all. It was completely open. It's like, there's little central complex where they have a store and they have meeting centers and things. I mean, anybody can take a bus and walk in there and talk to people. It's like no big deal, right? You can schedule a tour of their temples. Doesn't matter who you are. And so that also stuck with me, was you can have this model of a better way to live and embody that energy, and just let that be enough. You don't have to judge other people. You don't have to preach to other people that you're doing it wrong or you should live this way, it's better. You don't have to do any of that. So that was a really powerful mirror for me. And then we spent days and hours meditating in these temples. And I had some major shifts happen spiritually, where I was put in contact with new spirit guides, star brothers and sisters in one case. That's a whole other deep story to tell, but just kind of laying it out that the transformation continued there. And then when I got back and, coming back to the real world, continuing to do the relationship work and continuing to use that as a mirror, even if I was unconsciously doing it. But also, the plant medicine came in at that point. I have a friend, he may be watching this, hi Jeff, who led me on a plant medicine journey. And when I had started the shamanic path, of course, when you say shaman in public, everybody immediately thinks plant medicine, right? Ayahuasca. And I checked in a lot of times through my journey on that path. When's the right time for me to have this kind of experience? And the answer was always the same. It'll happen when it happens. Just relax about it, basically. And so when Jeff proposed that we do this, I felt like it was time. Spirit agreed, and I did it. And so I had one of the most intense experiences of my life doing this. The plant was Los Santitos, they're little white mushrooms, little saints. And I'm not going to share all the mechanics of it because it's not that interesting, but what I will tell you in that intense experience is that it was like giving birth to myself, is the best way I can describe it. I went so deep into the shadow, I felt like I was literally in the bottom of a well scooping up buckets of sludge and throwing it out. And it went on for hours and hours. Everybody has their own individual experience, but I quickly learned that I was there for that. I was there to lighten the load, to get rid of not only my hucha, bad energy, or dense energy. There's no bad, it's just dense. But I started getting rid of energy from ancestors and beyond. I don't know where it was all coming from. At one point, I was so weak that I was just laying on the floor, kind of moaning, and couldn't do anymore. And Jeff reached out his hand and grabbed me and started pulling the hucha into himself and throwing up because of it. And that went on for I don't know how long. So all that is to say that that also left me changed. And I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about plant medicine, but I believe that when it's done in a sacred way, and you really are with someone who knows what they're doing to guide you, and you hold the intention of just being open to whatever is supposed to happen and not having preconceived ideas about what you're going to do and how it's going to be afterwards and all those things. Wow, it can be extremely, extremely powerful. So I was very, very thankful for having had that experience. And then another thing that happened along those lines was I was introduced to a beautiful new sister that was new in this life, but I felt like I'd known her forever. And she introduced me to a whole new way of connecting with the cosmic energy, right? Even the Karo talk about star brothers and star sisters and Chaska and all that kind of stuff. But in the Four Winds, we really didn't get too deeply into it. What she showed me was that there is a crystalline lattice that connects everything in the universe. And if you know what a fractal is mathematically, you can take a piece of a fractal and it reflects the entire structure and all the information of the whole thing. That's what this lattice is. And there's an intelligence at different levels of this lattice. It's called the crystalline grid. And there's one for Earth, there's one for each planet, for the solar system, for the galaxy. You get the idea. And so she has kind of been initiated into this and kept it into a small circle of only a few people who knew what this was and how she was practicing. Interestingly, there's a bunch of stuff on Gaia about this now. It's getting more public. But when she started doing it about 18 months to 2 years ago, nobody was talking about it. I believe this is one of the ways that it's a technology that has always existed. And I say technology because it's something that we can interface with as humans. It's an intelligence as old as the structure of the universe. And it is not an organic intelligence like we are. It's very matter of fact, almost, I hesitate to say it this way, but almost machine-like in its matter of factness. And it's based in truth. So it's very powerful and you feel it when you connect to it. And having that mirrored to you as a human of this matter of fact truth, that this is truth and this is how it is, can be very jarring if you're not ready for it. Because what are we used to? We're dealing with other humans all the time. And everybody has their own individual truth. And everything is kind of malleable, changeable, right? The crystalline grid doesn't work that way. It is what it is. And you can either receive it or not, but it doesn't change. And so I was initiated into the circle of communicating with this grid. And I'm just like barely at the beginning stage of even understanding what that means. But that happened. So enriching not only my medicine, but what I can channel into for other people, new ways of healing, new ways of conducting ceremony, new ways of bringing in information that's not from me. I mean, being a shaman is all about communicating with spirit. Well, this is a whole other way to do that, right? So I respect it. And I'm just in the beginning of it, like I said. And if that wasn't enough, I met a new brother who's a Lakota medicine singer. And right from the beginning, again, I felt like I'd known him forever. And I had started taking on board this notion of sacred exchange. And he needed help. He was in a bad situation in the 3D world. And right off the bat, I said, well, how can we create a sacred exchange so that I can help you and you can help me? And that's been the basis of our relationship. And it's amazing. It's not always perfect, and we make mistakes or whatever because we're human, but it's really incredibly enriching and fulfilling to start a new relationship on that basis. I'm not going to save you, you're not going to save me, but we can help each other, and we can make an exchange to help each other, right? And so over time, as we got to know each other, he got to know where I was coming from and vice versa. One day he just said, it's time. And I went, time for what? And he said, I'm going to initiate you. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it, whatever it is. So what it turned out being is he initiated me as a Lakota pipe bearer and the sacred tobacco pipe. Colloquially, white people call it the peace pipe, right? But again, I'm just at the very beginning of that. I don't know what it means yet, but it's happened and it's changed me. Everything changes you if you allow it to, right? So what does this all come down to? What does this all mean for the community, this new community that I've built on the Heartbeat platform? I'll still be posting things on Facebook, by the way, but it'll all be redirecting into the Heartbeat platform. It's a very rich space to have community and to share information, and it's private, so Meta doesn't have your data, which is important to me and many other people, I think. But the tie, how it comes all together, is through connection and through intention. And there's some incredible souls who I've connected with over the last 8 months, and I think they'll all be trickling in to that space. And so in very short order, I think it's going to be a very rich place and safe place to heal and share. And it really gets into this whole idea of sacred exchange, which I'm going to talk about right now. It's based on two core concepts. One is Ayni, A-Y-N-I, which anybody who's had any exposure to the Karo culture and philosophy knows that this is kind of their core mantra or their way of life, is today for you, tomorrow for me. They also say that in Quechua. So the idea is, again, it goes back to that term I used earlier, contributionism, right? You're contributing to the whole, and the richness and reward that you feel from doing that will make that energy return to you because you're giving from your heart. Love from the heart, Munai Sanko. You give from your heart in that way, and you trust and surrender to the universe that energy is going to be returned to you. And so the other concept that comes in is the Pan-African concept of Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. And I say Pan-African because there's several countries that have the same cultural concept. They say it a little differently in their language, but it's the same thing. Ubuntu, the mantra there is I am, because we are. So in a way, they take it a level below the surface and say, I exist because we exist. And in both cases, in these separate cultures, African and South American, right? Where they intersect is they define themselves as a successful human being that's happy and healthy by how well they give to the community and how well they're embraced by the community. There's a real lesson in that for all the things that are happening in the world now. It's really easy to get distracted by all the illusionary things that are happening in the news and with the governments across the world, not just ours, and realize that there are many, many layers and levels to what's actually happening that are behind the scenes, if you will, from what you're actually seeing. What you're seeing is highly curated, highly manipulated, right? You can't do much about that except give away your energy. That's really it. So if you choose not to give away your energy, what are you left with? What is the choice that you're left with? And I believe we already have the model. It's contributionism in some form. So what I've been trying to allow to come through rather than figure out in my brain is, what does that look like for a community and a practice? And so that's what I'm modeling now. I have a 16-week course coming up. I'm calling it the Vital Harmony Cohort, or family, right? And it's all about mind, body, spirit healing. So if you've got some emotional shadow that you want to work on, if you're just not feeling happy or successful, or you have relationships that are falling apart and you don't know why, or you have physical challenges, you need to lose weight, I'm going to be right there with you, taking off the 20 pounds that I gained over the last 8 months through the Grow a New Body portion of the program. And we're going to go around the medicine wheel, the 4 directions, and we're going to learn the techniques in each direction to make us a whole balanced human being. And it's a process. It's not going to end after the 16 weeks, but my goal is to give you some new tools that you can use on your own path, whatever that looks like, and help you find your own medicine and unlock your own inner healer, right? So what I've done in the past that I stopped doing 8 months ago was say, okay, here's the program. It's going to start on X day and it costs X dollars, right? I've had so many people come to me in the last 8 months, show up, and the teaching from the Caro is, you are the right shaman for the person who shows up in front of you. But a lot of the people that were showing up in front of me were in the depths of their dark night of the soul and didn't have money. So it didn't feel right to turn them away, but I also understand that there has to be an energetic exchange, or a lot of times people don't value the gift that they're getting. So how do we make this work? And Brian says, yeah, I've been experiencing this as well. People are going through it right now, man. I mean, all over the place, right? So what do? You turn them away? We can't pour our cup on the ground either, to use a biblical quote, because then we won't have anything to share. So how do we keep our cup full, but also give the people what they need who can't contribute financially? And what came to me from Spirit was this exchange model based on contributionism. So the basics of how it works are, if you have money, you can pay for the program, just like always, right? If you don't have any money, you can pay for the program by paying it forward. Go out into your community, contribute your time and your heart to help, however you see that working. And then if you're somewhere in between, you can contribute some and pay some. That's great. You can do that too. I'm very lucky in that right now, I don't require the income stream from a bunch of people paying full price for a program. So I'm doing this as my way of contributing and my way of listening to Spirit to help you all co-create this container that we can all come together in and contribute. And it's not me doing it, it's all of us doing it. And every time I talk about it, I feel it in my heart, and I feel the energy going down my spine that this is right. This is a model that we can follow. And this is what they do in the Caro culture in the Andes too. You know, a shaman comes to a birth or ushers someone across the veil for a death or a marriage or whatever. They don't use a lot of hard currency. They trade. They use labor, build you a new chicken coop, or they trade objects, they trade services, whatever, right? I want to model that and see how we can make it work in the Western culture. And so at that point, I know I've talked about a lot of stuff, but what it's all brought me to is this path of what I'm calling the sacred exchange. And I'd like to open it up to you all for a moment. And if you have anything to contribute or ask, the floor is yours. And I think I just unmuted everyone. No pressure, just giving you a little space if you want to bring something into the container. Okay. Well, I respect that. And we'll have lots more time to chat back and forth about this. Brian says, no microphone or camera, no big. I see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. Really glad you're here. So with that, I would like to close our sacred space and leave you with such love and such gratitude that you're here. And if you're watching the recording later, thank you for coming. And if you have any questions about the program or the Sacred Exchange starting on March 14th, I encourage you to ask. And we'll end with that. Pachamama, Great Serpent, thank you for coming to us. Thank you for showing us the beauty way. Thank you for being with us and holding this space for our mutual learning and healing. Aho. Otorongo, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, thank you for coming and showing us the way of facing our shadows and giving me the words to say to reach other people's hearts. Thank you, Otorongo. Aho. Sior Kente, Hummingbird, ancestors, thank you for helping us hold this space and for giving us the wisdom of your stories and the courage to take the steps we need to take to do our work on this earth and beyond. Thank you, thank you. Aho. Apuchin, Kuntur, Eagle, Condor, thank you for giving us your insight and your piercing gaze to see everything as it truly is. We love you and we thank you. Aho. Pachamama, sweet mother, we release you and we thank you for taking all of our hucha whenever we have it to give and turning it into the fertile soil that nourishes us all. We release all of our relations back to their places, and we thank you. We know that you will come again anytime we need you. Aho. Star brothers, star sisters, Inti Taita, Mama Kia, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming into our circle and illuminating our path with your divine light. Thank you for coming. Thank you. We love you and we release you. Aho. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.